Welcome, welcome, welcome to Mastering Mindset 101. I am so excited for you to be here. And firstly, I just want to congratulate you on taking a step, making an investment, because in my opinion, the best investment that you can ever make is in yourself, regardless of whether that's a free investment, a paid investment, whatever it is. Investing in yourself, honestly, to me, is the greatest investment of all time, because if we can invest in ourselves, our external world is just absolutely going to fall into place. And that is exactly what this masterclass is today. This masterclass is obviously mastering mindset, and it is all about teaching you how to identify your thoughts, which are going to contribute to your limiting beliefs, and then being able to change them, which is then going to change the way you feel about yourself. And then it's going to dictate how you act. And it really just is this whole cycle. And when we know how we can manipulate that cycle, we can take ourselves from rock bottom, feeling absolutely awful in our body, nervous about summer, wearing certain clothes, comparing ourselves to other people, to just absolutely fucking thriving. Absolutely thriving, because we are so confident in who we are. We're so confident in our body. We are able to embrace our body for what it is and what it does rather than how it looks. And everything just comes together in this perfect little present, I should say, just like a tiny little present. And so I'm so excited that you have taken the opportunity to invest in yourself, and hopefully continue investing in yourself so that you can just continually better the relationship that you have with yourself, your body, food, exercise, all of those things, because realistically, that is what creates a holistic approach to life. Really, when we are on top of our mindset, we feel good, that is when everything falls into place. So first and foremost, I want to just introduce myself, because this could be your first, I guess, masterclass or interaction with me. So you might not even really know who I am, what I'm about. But more importantly, I want to share my story with you, because the way I teach and the way I coach and the strategies I use and the principles I use, not only are they backed by science, but they are actually the principles that I use to get myself from where you are right now, which is feeling not confident in yourself. You don't want to put on the bikini, you're comparing yourself to others, you're just at that real low confident version of yourself, to who I am now, which is the person who doesn't really give two fucks about what anyone thinks about it, to be honest. And I wear the bikini, and I love wearing anything that I feel comfortable in. I don't put any kind of limitation on what I wear. It's just whatever I feel comfortable in, whether that be baggy clothes, whether that be a crop top, bikini, whatever it is. I don't limit myself. I don't even think about clothing anymore, because I'm just confident in who I am, and I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I stand for. And because I have all of that internal work done, it's reflecting in my external world, which is how I carry myself. So first and foremost, I'm Brooke. I'm sure you already know that, because you are here, and for you to be here, it means you've either DM'd me, you've come across my Instagram page, maybe you're in my email funnel, whatever it is. Welcome. Like I said at the start, I am honestly so honored that you are here, because I am able to share all the tools and strategies with you so that you can make a change in your life. So to start my journey off, it started when I was quite young. I remember being around 7, and I started to think really poorly of my body. I was quite I'd say a chunky child. And it's not that I didn't eat healthy or move my body. That's just who I was. That's just how my baby body was. And I can remember so clearly the day that I started to think poorly about my legs. And my legs have always been one of my greatest insecurities. I remember sitting in the car, and they were jiggling as mum was driving. And I remember hitting my thigh and being like, oh, it looks like a tsunami. And I was body shaming my legs at the age of 7. And it started to get me thinking, like, how was I even aware of all of this stuff? Well, the reason I was aware of how a body should look is because it's all over the TV, and it's because of our parents and our family friends. As bad as that sounds, it is. When I think back, my mum was always dieting, trying to change her body. So of course, when I'm seeing my mum work in that way, where she's constantly trying to change her body because it's not good enough, of course, naturally, I'm going to be a product of my environment, and I'm going to start acting that way. So that was kind of the first, I guess, thought that I had, where it was like, I don't like my body, I want to change it. I'm with the negative self-talk, all that kind of stuff. It was very destructive. So I'm going to fast forward a couple of years, because obviously things happen in between now and then. and the start of my teen years. But where my journey really kicks off is around 15. So at 15, that was the first time where I utilized exercise to change my body. And this is where it really kicked off, because I realized that if I wanted to change my body, I could exercise to manipulate how I looked, which then I received compliments for. So it was externally validating all of the, I guess, ideas and the narratives that I was telling myself. So the narrative I was telling myself was that my body wasn't good enough and I needed to be skinnier, because I wanted to be like the other girls. They were all skinnier than me. So I remember hiding in my bedroom and I was doing crunches and sit-ups and squats and all these different things. And naturally, as you do as a teenager, you actually start to lose your body fat or your baby fat. And that's exactly what happened to me. I started to lose my baby fat. Now, the problem is that I had people noticing, and that external validation started to fuel the fire, and I wanted more and more and more. I actually remember a teacher saying to me once, I came back from holidays, and I remember her grabbing her waist, like her own waist, and she's like, "Oh, Brooke, you look fantastic. You've lost a lot of weight around your waist." And that, for me, that compliment is what actually continued my spiral, let's call it, my spiral to self-destructive thoughts and behaviors to change the way I looked. So at 17, I started my first diet. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a no sugar diet that came out. There was a big movie about it. Sugar was, I guess, known as the bad thing. I mean, it was carbs prior to that, but then it was sugar. Sugar was this thing that you just had to cancel out. It was so bad for you. It was so detrimental to your health. And so I jumped on that bandwagon and cut out all sugar. Like at 17, I cut out all sugar. The motive wasn't for health. The motive was because I was like, if I eat sugar, I'm going to get fat. I don't want to get fat because I want to be skinny like my friends. And little did I realize that was then going to start the next spiral of an eating disorder. So at 17, cut out all sugar, started gymming a little bit more. I went from a home gym and just working at home to then joining a gym and started lifting weights. And when you start at a gym, I don't know if you noticed this, but you tend to get a lot more compliments because you start, I guess, once again, losing weight, but you're starting to tone up, which gives the illusion that you're getting skinnier. So I was being complimented on at the gym, people talking about my body all the time. I was then influenced by personal trainers at the time to do in-body scans, which is like you jump on the scales, it tells you your fat to your muscle, all that kind of stuff. They were then telling me what I should be cutting out of my diet, what I should be looking for on packages. So then it just got worse and worse and worse. At 19, I became absolutely obsessed. I was absolutely obsessed with my body image. I had to be stick skinny. I wanted the box gap. I wanted like the no waist. I wanted everything just to be like skin and bone. I can remember looking at girls on my social media and at the beach and all that, and I would be like, oh my God, that I idolized them. I put them on a pedestal because I wanted to be so much like them. So this is when I became really obsessive and fixated on a body image. How do I get to that body image? Well, I need to excessively exercise and I need to excessively diet. So this is when I started gymming 6 times a week, and my gym routine consisted of 30 minutes of cardio followed by an hour and a half of an hour to an hour and a half of strength training, because I just wanted that physique. The diet that I started was actually the paleo diet. And when I started the paleo diet, I cut everything out. The reason I started was because I got on the, what's his name, Pete Evans trend. And I was like, well, he's telling me this is healthy. He's telling me that this is the best way to eat. And so I started to eat that way. Little did I realize, not only was I putting myself in a situation where I was cutting out food groups, which I'm now intolerant to, my relationship with food was rapidly declining. And I was actually putting myself on a pedestal to other people. If you didn't eat the same way I did, I genuinely looked down on you and the diet that you had and saw you as unhealthy. So the whole situation was just rapidly becoming worse and worse. It was just amplifying. At the back end of 19 was when I tried my first shake diet, and as to be expected, I lost weight because I wasn't eating food. I was 19 on a shake diet that was deemed healthy, and I won't name the brand, but it was deemed healthy by this particular brand because it was certified organic and vegan and all that kind of stuff. So I went on that shake diet and I lost 5 kilos. And I remember posting it up on my Instagram, and the amount of compliments I received, it was just that whole ego boost again. It was that, oh my God, I have to look this little because people like me this way. I'm going to have more friends if I'm skinnier. I'm going to be liked more by people. I'm going to feel more confident in myself. Little did I realize, though, that as soon as I start eating food again, of course, I'm going to put on weight. So what does that do to your mindset? Rapidly declines, because you go from being on top of the world and feeling so good and so confident because you are skinny and hitting that ideal body type. However, you then gain the weight and you've got nothing inside of you to actually, I guess, anchor yourself to, because your sole confidence is based on the way you look rather than who you are. So naturally, you feel really low in confidence again. And all of a sudden, you start removing yourself from social situations. You start being embarrassed by who you are, how you look. You start rapidly dieting again, going to the gym, and it just becomes such an excessive lifestyle and draining, mentally, emotionally, and physically draining. I remember I couldn't even walk past a window without sucking in to make myself as skinny as I could. I used to brace I call it bracing now because that's how I use it at the gym. I used to suck my core in and just walk around like that all day. And I would never allow my body to be in a relaxed state, because if I was in a relaxed state and I had the slightest of tummy rolls, I was shamed. I was shameful. I shamed myself. I put myself down. The self-talk, the destructive self-talk that I used to have, my internal dialogue, was horrendous. I couldn't even walk past a mirror or a window without having to bully myself and the way that my body looked. So at 2021, I kind of flipped back and forth between paleo, keto, vegan, all those kind of different diets. Once again, the reason was because I wanted to lose weight. I was so fixated on being as little as I could be rather than filling the holes inside, because realistically, when we have poor body image, we have holes and damage and trauma and limiting beliefs inside us that aren't being filled. So we've got these voids we need to fill, which is when we tend to lean more towards these addictive behaviors and actions and thoughts to try and, I guess, either justify or reason as to why we feel that way. So I was embarrassed to wear a lot of clothes at 2021. So I used to kind of hide myself away. I made sure that anything I was wearing was loose fitted. I was very particular on what I wore and how I styled myself. And I remember I couldn't even wear a bikini in front of my family because I was just that ashamed at my mid-region, my tummy, my hips, my thighs, my glutes. And just, it was, looking back, it's so heart-wrenching that I spent my late teens and my early 20s in such a destructive state, because if I could go back in time and tell myself one thing, it would have been at 17 to do self-development work and invest in myself rather than trying to look a certain way. So at 22, this was kind of when everything shifted for me in somewhat more of a healthier way. I wouldn't say it was the healthiest way, but it was still healthier. I started to educate myself on the role of nutrition in the body. So I then became aware of macros and calorie counting. Now, the reason I say that it was a healthier way was because I had more knowledge around what I was actually consuming. So I wasn't necessarily on shakes anymore, but what I was doing was I was now obsessively counting calories. And I wasn't counting calories that aligned with my body intake either. I was counting calories for the typical 1,500. Now, I don't know if you know this, but a toddler needs 1,200. So if a toddler needs 1,200 calories and you have someone telling you to eat 1,500, I'm sorry, but they're completely wrong, because you are not a toddler, you're an adult, and you need to eat a lot more food than that. So whilst I was educating myself, I was still obsessively counting these calories, which meant that I didn't have a great relationship with food. I feared a lot of foods. I still wasn't eating gluten, dairy, sugar. I very rarely ate out because the guilt associated with eating out and not being able to count the calories in the food was very daunting. I was still obsessive at the gym. I was exercising maybe 5 to 6 days a week, wasn't really implementing rest. I was still big on the cardio and the strength sessions. So that was kind of the period of 22. Now I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can just to give you the background of me. But 23 was where it all changed. So when I turned 23, I decided that I wanted to lose weight once and for all. Once again, the motive was still to lose weight. So I went to a coach, and this was during lockdown. I went to a coach who I knew from Albury because I'd been to his gym and we had quite a good connection. So I was like, yep, I'll work with him because I know that it'll just work. And I was doing the call with him, and he was like, what are your goals? And I was like, I want to lose 5 kilos. I want to be strong. Like, I want to look this way. I want to be strong. And I was giving him all these physical goals. And then he started asking me questions about my food. I was like, yep, I'm right on it. Like, I know macros. I count my calories to a T. Like, I don't go out. I never deviate. And he actually stopped and he's like, can you just stop talking? And I was like, oh, okay. And that's when he said to me, he's like, first thing, we actually don't need to work on your physical at all because your mental health is not okay. You are obsessed with the way that you look and the food that you eat, and you actually have a really unhealthy relationship with yourself. So we need to first and foremost work on your mindset towards yourself and the relationship that you have with yourself, with food and with exercise. And when I tell you that was a slap in the face, like I was like, I do not have a bad relationship with myself. I want to be better. I want to be skinnier to be better. But realistically, the reason I wanted to change my body was because I didn't like who I was. I didn't like my body. And there's a huge difference between changing your body because you don't like it and changing your body because you do like it. There's a very big difference between those two. And I, if I have time, I'll quickly touch on them, but there's a huge difference between those two, and they require two very different mindsets. So that was a slap in the face I needed to then start my self-development journey. So from there, I also had a slap in the face from my auntie when she was like, Brooke, you have a distorted eating behaviors. And I was like, I do not, as I carry in my pre-made dessert for Christmas because I couldn't dare eat the stuff that they had made. Who does that? Me, apparently. Anywho, so I copped those two slaps in the face and I was like, right, I need to do something. So that's where I kind of started my own self-development journey, and I started researching and I started just implementing little strategies to help me get started. The place that I actually started was cleaning out my Instagram. I just completely cleaned it out. Any person or influencer, that was making me think negatively about my body or myself, I removed. I got rid of them from my life because I was comparing to everyone and everything that I saw. So if I can remove them, I then no longer can compare to them. That's the first thing I did. The second thing I then did was started actually reversing the conversations I was having internally. So every time I would speak down to myself, I would then have to end in a compliment, or I'd have to neutralize the comment that I made about myself. And when I say neutralize it, I mean, I don't want you to go straight from like, oh, I hate my body to, oh, I love my body, because that's just not fucking realistic. That's not how it rolls. So it's like, instead of saying I hate my body, it's like, I recognize that I'm learning to love my body. Or even if that feels too far, I recognize that I'm learning to accept my body. It's just so much more neutral. It's not negative. It's not positive. Your body is a body. It's a thing. It's a object that helps you get from A to B. And that's just what that recognizing that neutral playing field is. And at the end of the day, we actually want to go kind of away from body positivity, and we want to go more towards body neutrality, which is like where a body is a body. It's a thing. We don't put it on a pedestal and we don't criticize it. It's just, it is what it is. You are who you are, kind of a thing. I'm not going to lie and say that I'm absolutely perfect and that I don't have bad body image days, because that would just be lying to your face. I do. I have bad body image days, just like I still have fear foods, just like sometimes I'm still like, oh, I should probably go to the gym a little bit more. I should train a little bit harder. But the difference is I've now done a whole lot of internal work, and I've done a whole lot of work on my mindset, so that when those things arise, I'm able to flip them around. And that is the important thing. And that is what I want to teach you today. Okay. So whilst I started my own self-development journey, the best thing I ever did was actually invest in a coach, because the coach got me from A to B a whole lot quicker. It's like anything. If you want to take the slow approach, then yeah, do your own research. Go through and filter out all the shit. But if you want to get from A to B a whole lot quicker, and you don't want to be riding on the turtle over there, then you're going to jump in the car and you're going to invest in a coach who's going to get you from A to B. And that's exactly what I did. That's how I got from where I was at the lowest of lows to where I am now, where I'm not like, I don't believe you can ever get to the highest of highs, because I believe that there's no limit to where you can take yourself and where you can take your self-development. But because I have invested in multiple coaches to do the internal work, to be my mirror and to be my shadow, I've managed to get myself from where I was to where I am now in a matter of, I was nearly 1.5 to 2 years. Had I stuck it out and did it by myself and did all the research, I mean, I've done research now, but done all the research at the beginning, well, it's like anything. It's like when you're writing an essay, you got to filter through the shit. Why would you filter through the shit when you can pay someone else to have filtered through it? Why would you write the essay if you can pay someone else to write the essay for you? And so that is why I invested in coaching, because I'm not here to muck around. I want to get to where I want to be, and I want to quantum leap there as quickly as I can. How do I do that? I get someone to help me get there. Just like if you're investing in a netball coach. If you want to achieve the highest level you can in netball, you're not going to sit there and teach yourself. You can't see yourself. You need a mirror. You need a coach who's got the knowledge, who's got the skills, who's got the energy, who's going to get you there. That's the other thing a lot of people forget. When you invest in a coach, you invest in their energy. You want to be in their world. When you're in their world, you're in their energy. They're going to get you there so much quicker. So you're not just investing in knowledge. You're investing in, what's the word? Energy. Sorry. Let me go again. You're not just investing in knowledge. You're investing in energy as well, which is a huge factor in getting you to where you want to be. You're also investing in support. There's just so much more to self-development and that whole concept of self-growth when you've got someone that's like, I can see that you're here, let's get you up here, and I'm going to get you there amplified, get you there quickly. So that was my journey. That's how I got to where I am, and that is now why I do what I do, because I want to get girls from here to here as quickly as they can, because life's too short. Let's be honest. Life is too short to continue living this way, to continue living in fear, in worry, and anxiety, in comparison. It's just such a negative, toxic space to be in. I want to get you to here where you can just thrive and not even think about your body, because your body is a body and you know exactly who you are, what you stand for, and that is what shines through. Okay, now to get into a little bit more of the teaching side of things. So this is where I'm going to teach you the principles and the practices that I use to get myself started. It didn't get me from A to B because, like I said, I had coaches do that. So what is mindset? I feel like there's a lot of people who have dabbled in the word mindset. Mindset is thrown around a whole lot. However, I don't believe people actually know what it is. So mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you make sense of the world and yourself. In a nutshell, that's what it is. It's just the beliefs that are instilled in you that allow you to view the world and yourself the way you do. So if you have a whole lot of negative self-limiting beliefs or limiting beliefs, obviously that word limiting means it's going to hold you back. So if you have limiting beliefs and that's what you're filled with, you're going to stay in that negative spiral of self-destruction, low confidence, and just not getting anywhere. However, when you can teach yourself and seek guidance on being able to identify those limiting beliefs and how to change them, which I'm going to teach you about in a second, then you're able to change your perspective, change your belief so that you see the world and see yourself in a different light. And that is the goal. We want to see ourselves and the world in a different light. So our belief systems really do dictate how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And if you've been on my Instagram, you might have seen that I've been speaking about the cycle, and that's what I'm going to teach you today, is because it's a whole cycle. And when we don't intervene, that cycle just keeps going and going and going, and it just continues to spiral. So you may have heard of fixed mindset and growth mindset. Now, fixed mindset is when there is a definite answer. It's yes, no, can, can't, that kind of mindset. Whereas growth is where the opportunities are endless. And I guess that's where you could see it as you are open-minded. There's no just yes and no. There's also maybes. There's possibilities. And so you get the opportunity to make the choice as to whether you want to stay fixed, which there's a yes, no. There's a way we go and the way that we don't. We can, we can't. Or you become growth, where there's opportunities and the world is your oyster and you get to change and you get to decide your perspectives. So now that you have an understanding of what mindset is, I want to teach you about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is fucking awesome. Like, this has been probably the most exciting part of my whole research around how the brain works and why we have things like mindset coaches and business coaches who implement mindset to get us to where we need to be, because we can actually change the pathways in our brain. Like, how cool is that? So we can physically change the neurological pathways in our brain to change our automatic thought processes. So just because you think negatively now doesn't mean you always have to. You can actually weaken that thought process and you can change it to a positive one, which I think is so cool. So neuroplasticity, it's essentially just your ability to change your neuro pathways, which are just the pathways that the brain is able to retrieve and think and retrieve knowledge and think and all that kind of things. So neurological pathways are created when we experience new things, when we learn new things, and we can either strengthen or weaken them. So for example, when you're a child, you don't know how to play sport well. But when you continually practice the skill of whatever it is, whether it's bouncing a ball or whether it's playing tennis or hand-eye coordination, whatever it is, when you practice that skill, the neurological pathway in the brain strengthens, which means that you automatically are able to complete that skill to a good level, okay? Whereas if you are, say, someone who isn't creative and doesn't like drawing, because you don't practice the skill of drawing, that skill probably is not going to develop because you are not creating a neurological pathway in your brain to make it automatic. It's the same with learning new words. If we are learning new vocabulary all the time, then that part of our brain, the neurological pathway that's going to retrieve that vocabulary in those words, it's going to strengthen, and you're going to use higher order vocabulary more often because it's strengthening. Whereas if you're just using basic words and not speaking all the time, that neurological pathway will weaken to the point where if you weren't to speak, you actually would not speak. You may forget how to speak. And that's neuroplasticity is actually the reason why a lot of people who experience severe injury and accidents are actually able to learn how to walk again. Because during the incident, that neurological pathway is damaged, but because the brain and the neuroplasticity and we're able to relearn skills and strengthen those pathways, you can actually then teach people to walk again, to speak again. So it's the same with our thought processes. We can use neuroplasticity to change our thought processes. If you want to think more positively and you want to weaken your destructive self-thoughts, then you need to start actually changing the way you think. Anytime a negative thought comes into mind, correct it with a neutral thought or a positive thought. Start implementing gratitude so that you're thinking more positively, because the more of the positive things that you can implement into your life, where you're practicing gratitude and you're practicing those positive self-thoughts, that's going to strengthen that neurological pathway so it becomes automatic. And it's going to weaken the one that's negative. So then it's not your automatic thought. It's the same as when I had to challenge myself not to suck in all the time or look at myself in the mirror when I walk past, or even a window when I walk past. That was such an automatic behavior because I had trained the neurological pathway in my brain to automatically look to see how my body looked when I walked past a window. So I had to challenge that thought by stopping myself every single time I wanted to do it. And I had to then give myself an affirmation of, my body is beautiful as it is. I don't need to look skinny, whatever it was. And eventually I was able to change the neurological pathway by strengthening that one and weakening the other one so that I no longer look in the window when I walk past. I don't even think about it. Okay, so the reason you need to know about neuroplasticity is because it is the science behind why you can change your mind. It is the science behind you being able to change your mind. And it's important to recognize that it's evidence-based. It is science-based. There is the research there to show you that it is possible and you can do it with the right guidance and the right knowledge. Okay. Let's move on to the thinking cycle. So this is what I was referring to before. There's this whole cycle that is constantly going on multiple times a day because our brains don't stop. They don't rest. So the cycle goes, you have a thought. That thought is determined by your beliefs, which is then impacting how you feel about yourself, which influences your actions, and your actions shape your thoughts. And I'm going to give you a really clear example. When my thought is, I hate my body, that determines the belief that my body is not good enough. It is not worthy, which then impacts my feeling towards myself. I'm going to feel shit about myself. I'm going to be ashamed of my body. I'm going to feel guilty by the way my body looks, which then influences my actions. I wear baggy clothes. I check myself in the mirror. I self-sabotage. I compare myself to others. I might even be jealous of other people. And those actions then shape my thoughts and confirm my thoughts. So I'm then confirming that I should hate my body, which then strengthens the limiting belief of my body is not good enough, which then means I'm going to feel even worse. I'm going to feel more shame, more guilt. And can you see how that cycle just continually goes until we have the ability to recognize our thoughts? I hate my body. Oh, that's not okay. But then become curious. Well, if I'm thinking that, what do I believe? Well, I believe that I don't feel like my body's good enough. I don't believe my body is worthy. Oh, okay, well, that's not okay. I need to learn how to change that belief. Why do I believe that my body is not worthy enough? Why do I believe my body is not good enough? Well, I believe it because social media has told me it's not good enough. I watched my mum diet her whole life. People have made comments about my body, and when it's skinnier, it must be better because they're always complimenting me when I'm skinnier. It's all of those experiences that actually accumulate and create the beliefs that we have. So once we're able to recognize what are the events and the experiences that have happened for us to have this belief, that is when we can choose to believe a new belief. The way we do that is we actually say to ourselves, and then we have to practice. We say to ourselves, I no longer choose to believe this. I forgive my mum for not knowing better. I forgive the people who complimented me and gave me the validation that a skinnier body was better. I forgive that I didn't have the knowledge to realize that social media was incorrect. I choose not to believe that my body is not, I choose not to believe that my body is not good enough and not worthy enough. And from now on, I choose to believe that my body is acceptable as it is. Now, obviously, just saying that isn't going to get you there, and that's where action comes into it. You then need to create actions that allow you to take that new belief and start implementing it and living by it. That could be challenging yourself by wearing clothes you're uncomfortable in. That could be affirmations. That could be journaling. It could be meditations. It could be just changing your internal dialogue. It takes a lot of conscious effort for you to be able to, 1, recognize the limiting belief, 2, recognize where it's come from, 3, actually implement actions that are going to mean that you are embodying your new belief. But without doing that, you're not going to be able to get to where you want to be. And that is usually why I invest in a coach. I invest in a coach because I need them to tell me the action. I need the accountability. I need them to be the mirror so that I can see what my beliefs actually are. 9 times out of 10, I haven't been able to identify my own limiting beliefs. It's taken someone else to recognize them in me and to say, hey, Brooke, had you considered that this is a limiting belief you're carrying? For them then to go, well, where's that coming from? And for me to then work back and go like, oh, it's this experience and it's that experience. And that is the value in having someone there to be your mirror. Okay, so that is actually everything for today. I hope that you're able to take these principles and these practices and just this knowledge and start to embed it into your life. If I can leave you with any advice, my advice is take the highway. Do not waste your time and diddle-daddle around with it, because you've spent enough time living in this limbo land of not liking who you are, not embracing your body, not feeling confident in yourself. Take the highway and get there. I really do wish that at 20, whatever I was, 3, someone said to me, Brooke, get the coach straight away and just go. Because if I did it in 2 years and I didn't actually start using a coach, a mindset coach, until I think I was a year in, I would have got there a whole lot quicker. And I would have got to this point a whole lot quicker. I've had 3 or 4 coaches in between when I started my journey and now. If you are sick of being down here in that low confidence, comparing mindset where you're self-sabotaging, self-destructive thoughts are constantly reoccurring, and you're ready to take the highway from point A to point B without diddle-daddling and having to trial and error yourself, then I have a one-on-one coaching offer for you. I have an 8-week and a 12-week option. Within both of those options, there are one-to-one coaching sessions via either Zoom or a phone call. We have daily access to a Voxer chat, which is where I can support you in the moment when you are struggling, or if you need to celebrate, there is that option there too. Now, I really want to stress that if you are someone who is wanting to take this seriously and wants to get from A to B, then my prices next year are increasing. However, if you're not in a position where you want to start until the new year, I am currently offering an opportunity where people can lock in with a small deposit and then put it on a payment plan in the new year, and we will set a date for the new year so that you can kickstart 2024 in the best way possible, which in my opinion, like I said at the start, self-development is always the best development. Investing in yourself is the best investment that you will ever make. Now, my 8-week at the moment is $1,200 on a payment plan or $1,000 up front. It is increasing to $2,200 as a payment plan, and it will be $2,000 up front. That's for the 8-week. So if you're ready to lock in, all you need to do is put a deposit and we're set to go. Now, my 12-week option, it differs slightly, not a whole lot, just slightly. But at the moment for 2023, my offer is $1,800 pay in full, $2,000 on a payment plan, and it will be increasing to $3,000 pay in full, $3,200 on a payment plan. So like I said, if you are serious about taking yourself from point A to point B quickly, I really, really, really want to help get you there. And that is why I'm offering this opportunity where you're able to lock yourself in for either 8 or 12 weeks into the new year with a small deposit. We can put it on a payment plan. I'm happy to break it up into fortnightly, monthly, whatever you need to get you there. But I'm not going to hold the prices at a low next year. They will be increasing up to the new prices as of December 31st. So if you are at all interested, it starts with a 30-minute conversation. I actually don't expect you to book in until we've sat down and spoken, because for me, we need to have a clarity call. If I don't feel like I'm the right fit for you, I'm openly going to say I'm not the right fit for you. Likewise, if you don't feel I'm the right fit for you, I won't take offense to it. That's the point of the 30-minute free clarity call, so that we can get clear on where you're at, what you need to work through, what your goals are, to actually then decide and discover whether we would be the right match to get you from A to B. So if that is something that interests you, in the show notes, I have the link. All you need to do is click on it, enter your details, and I will reach out to you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I am so excited that you have started your self-development journey. And I'm so, so proud of you for investing in yourself, investing in time. I think a lot of people forget there's lots of different ways to invest in yourself. You've invested in time today. And I really hope that this kickstarts your passion for self-development.